speaking of players who express themselves with a lot of freedom, you've got Rinku Singh and Jitesh Sharma, who performed well in the recent series that took place against Australia. Jitesh played well in the last couple of T20Is, whereas Rinku had a good series overall. Now, we spoke about the problem of plenty as well at the start. Zach, how do we fit both in? Because we're competing for limited spots. At number 5, you might have someone like a KL Rahul coming back in. You should say that Hardik Pandya is a shoo-in at number 6. At number 7, if you end up playing one of them, either Rinku or Jitesh, then Jadeja might have to play at 8, which might mean that the bowling looks a bit thin. So how does India solve this conundrum?
well, it all depends on what kind of template you're going to follow. You know, if you're looking at 6-5 and the 5 bowlers is something which you're going to be happy with and back them through and through, then the whole scenario changes. I think with Jitesh, because he's a keeper, and he's a middle order bat, can be a decent finisher, has got good numbers with strike rate, and that position, you know, why I've been saying 4, 5, 6 is so critical in this format, because you don't have that much time. You have to start from word go, and that is not easy for many players. Even if you are regularly playing in that position, you can't really master that position. Very few actually are able to make that kind of impact, and you got to measure those players' impact also in a different way. You know, how quickly they are able to get off the blocks, how many sixes they are hitting, how they are making use of different conditions. Even in challenging conditions, if someone is putting up those kind of performances, then the value goes up that much higher. If you are able to hit spinners, seamers, genuine quick bowlers, you know, then your value goes even higher. So I think, you know, that those are the parameters which one has to judge all these players who are batting in that position. So Rinku has been developing into a very nice finisher, which is a great sign. Jitesh, the sample size is very small. I know that these innings you're talking about T20 career and not just the international.
Exactly.
His journey in international is just started, and if he's showing those kind of signs, then it's up to the selectors how they want to look at that situation. You know, whether you want to give weightage to the experience, then the other names will come in. Then, you know, the KLs and all these other guys will also be considered. But if you're just looking at that fearless approach and something which is not going to cloud your thinking too much, or you put that role and responsibility on KL as well and say that, okay, you know, these are the numbers which we are looking at, that this is the strike rate and stuff. So it's going to be a process. It's very hard for anyone to just say it from here, and it's not going to be an easy pick for the selectors also. But as long as you have the clarity as team management and the selectors, and you go in that direction, there are chances that you will back the right names to start with and see success also down the road.
So Zach, you know, you give a very nuanced answer to that question. You talked about the fact that the selection of these players depends largely upon what template India want to play with. So I'm going to throw it back to you.
Yeah.
What template do you want to see India play with?
That's a very difficult one to judge. I think it all depends on first, who's captaining the side and then who's coaching the side. I think it comes down to that first. That is, once we get the surety of that, only those guys can decide the way the Indian team wants to play. Because the numbers and the names which we've seen here, I mean, as we've been saying it for time and again, there is no shortage of talent or skill in Indian players right now. So it comes down to whether you want to back form, whether you want to back the certain way of playing, or whether you want to back the experience. So I think that's something which team management has to come back and decide. Till last World Cup, we've always felt that India was falling slightly behind the way world cricket was going. So that is something Rohit Sharma did address, and he used it in 50 overs World Cup and was fairly successful with that. So I would definitely like to play that fearless kind of approach. But that also changes with the situation, the conditions of the pitch, whether, when we are playing a World Cup in West Indies and USA, you don't know how, what kind of wickets to expect. There could be a slow wicket where you might need an anchor at number 3. So all sort of things will, equations will come into play. But at the end of the day, India has to think that India has those players who can win World Cup, and every World Cup India will go in India will definitely be favorites to win the World Cup.